Who's the new Thomas Reed, kind of that leader of the special teams unit, who's not a kicker?
Sure. I think we've done a pretty cool job of making a lot of our special teams drills competitive and really making sure that we create a lot of one-on-one matchups and they're graded and there's results about winning one-on-one battles. And there's been a bunch of guys that have shown up on tape to be able to take a position like that. You can't ever replace a Thomas Reed, an inspirational leader, a guy that shows up and sacrifices his body every single down when he gets up there. But what you can do is you can show him as some teach tape and let some younger guys be able to show up and really make some plays. And I think guys that have shown up a ton are, guys like Isaiah Taylor, and you've got guys like Dalton Johnson, and, Jalen Johnson showed up in a big way. You've got guys that I think are starting to turn the corner in terms of how important special teams are in terms of field position, like Jackson Turner and Christian Young and a bunch of these older guys really showing up on drills and making it important. So I think it's a pretty cool culture that's starting to foster even within just our special teams unit itself.
How do you stress the importance of special teams to a newcomer who probably didn't play much of it in high school?
Well, I think it kind of starts with, we talk about it being the price of admission to be able to get into the seat in the team room. Nobody was recruited to be the R5 on kickoff. Nobody was recruited to be the left guard on punt. Nobody sits in the living room and says that. But the price of admission to be able to sit in those seats that's your gift to the team. And you show what kind of commitment you have to the team. You show what kind of person that you are by how important those downs are. And the last point is I start talking about, hey, if you're not happy with where you're at on the offense or defensive side of the ball in terms of organizational chart or depth charts, special teams is just football in space. That's what makes it unique. So the same fundamentals and techniques that you're using defensively or offensively, you just add 30 yards and now you have special teams. So anytime that you can really draw, that sort of connection, it makes it important to those guys because they can see their role increase, both good and bad, offensively and defensively, by how they produce on special teams.
Who are the main guys that you're looking at as return specialists?
I think it's an open competition. Everybody with the ball in their hand, from Simp to Cowing to Singer, T-Mac catches the ball extremely naturally. And you look at some of the defensive backs with ball skills like Jackson Turner. Those guys have done some returner work for us. So it's making it a competition and making sure that it's constantly evolving to where you're not just set and then here's the guys and here we go. Injuries plagued the team last year, so you got to make sure that you have a running list of guys that can jump it there at a moment's notice.
Do you look for the same things in a punt?
Hey, come on, dog.
Do you look for the same things in a punt returner and kickoff returner, or are they different?
I'm sorry, what was that one more time?
Punt returner versus kickoff returner. Are they
Sure.
different skill sets?
I think it's drastically different skill sets. I think with punt returners, you want a guy that's a little bit more controlled and probably a lot more short area quickness. A guy with very sure hands, I think, is kind of a premium when you get back there as a punt returner, because a lot of the times, you don't have a whole lot of protection in front of you. So you got to be, John Wayne back there to be able to field punts and save field position and be able to do a variety of things that don't show up necessarily on a stat sheet. Kickoff returner is a different kind of animal because you got to be willing to break tackles. And it's, this is an old school, but, Chris Peterson always said it was a lot like Days of Thunder. You got to be willing to drive through some of the smoke because it's not necessarily a clear picture every single time that you have that. So really being able to, have some courage to be able to know that the hole may not necessarily be there on kickoff return, and the courage to be able to know that there's going to be a couple free hitters, and you got to be able to run through them.
Where do you think the development is of that group?
What's that?
How do you feel about the development of that group is?
I think those guys are, again, these are some places where some guys haven't done in quite some time. And with anything, that takes some technique work. I'm excited about, you can see it flash on the offensive defensive side right now, just the athleticism and the explosiveness and being able to corral that and be able to utilize that in the field position game, especially on special teams, is, I think, going to be a very exciting thing leading into fall camp.
You guys obviously had a really good recruiting cycle for the class of 22, still early stages of class of 23.
Sure.
Do you feel like the momentum has carried over?
Yeah, I think you see a lot of the names, just from, some of the kids that we signed in the Valley, up north, and then some of the guys from, the Trinity League. You see a lot of younger kids that grew up in the same youth leagues, that to those guys are, those are their idols, and that's who they look up to. And I think when they start making decisions about where this program's headed and the excitement surrounding this place, I think that's big time for classes to come, not just in the immediate class, but, for years, and continue to ride that out and momentum. And, like Coach Fish always says, is making sure it's competitive and we get better every day. So.